Jed, Lynn, and Bruce of Anglahi. So, you were talking about image. Palagay niyo ba meron din role ng media sa pag-uplift ng ating image?
Yes. Actually, ngayon nga, di ba, mas malawak na yung media. There's not only TV, not only radio, but there's internet.
Right.
And there's other magazines. And I brought up internet because recently there's ang daming media, ang daming features sa YouTube lang.
Yeah.
Sa YouTube. So, I mean, she's okay, but other media I've seen is Filipinos dancing the Thriller. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen that. So we wanna. I think that affects also the image of Filipinos.
So yung mga kids ba, with all they're seeing sa mga social networking sites, how is it affecting them? Tumataas na nga ba yung ating pride, or do we still have to work on it?
Yeah, I think we still need to work on it. But then, yun nga, like for example, like si Jed here, like being part of Anglahi, I know that that changed his life somehow. Na yun nga, now he knows his identity. Like before, yun nga, as he said earlier, he understands Tagalog, but then he's not so good in speaking it, but now he's working on it. So I guess that helped him somehow.
So kwento mo sa amin, Jed, paano yung naging journey mo into your craving for your Filipino-ness?
Filipino-ness. I guess it would be, I visited the Philippines last year, and as Kuya Bruce was saying, that there was this Filipino brand, or it's called Filipino cookies now, because it's brown on the outside, it's white on the outside, but brown in the inside. So it kind of defines us as something we're not. Like, we're more than meets the eye, in a sense. So when I saw those, I was just kind of burdened that I think this is me, in a very sad way, that my life is this cookie. And it's not just mine, it's also the Filipinos throughout the entire world. And for me, once I saw that, I just couldn't help it, but I knew that I needed to do something to uplift our race nga po, to really break us from that stereotype, from that image that we are just cookies, that we're just, nothing more than what we can be.
And what steps did you take?
I guess just a couple of steps would be, I did a lot of just looking up our country, just the sights, the beauty of the Philippines. I was actually blessed going back to the Philippines just a couple of months ago. And it was there that I really saw how beautiful our country was, or is. And, even in just the smallest things, you can be proud that the Philippines is there. You can be proud that, we as a Filipino have such a beautiful country like the Philippines. You'll see things there that you can't find anywhere else in the world.
What do you think is the parents' role in all of this, in retaining our culture or reviving it?
I think the parents should really take it upon themselves as well to have that pride in being a Filipino. Because if they don't show that to their kids, then what are the kids going to retain? Because I believe that they're just going to get lost in other cultures and other identities that they're just going to try to mimic, instead of being proud in a culture that's so rich, a culture such as the Philippine culture. And I think that the parents should really take it upon themselves to really teach their kids. I mean, even just Tagalog, our own language. How sad is it that we don't even know how to speak it?
Right. So. Pero parang hindi rin natin ma-blame yung parents kasi nagdo-double job, triple job while the kids are growing up. And I've talked to some parents na gusto nilang magturo ng Tagalog, but it's just so much easier to talk in English, right?
That's right.
So anong advice nyo dun sa mga parents na yon?
Siguro yun nga, they should start it in the house na, yun nga, parang sabi nga nila, di ba, yung English naman, they will learn it in school. As soon as they enter school, they'd be able to learn English. But then yung Tagalog, it has to be started in the house. Yeah, kasi nga parang, what are the other Asian parents are doing? Like for example, Chinese or Vietnamese or Indians, they very well
kids,
speak, di ba, yung language ng parents nila.
Right.
And I think
Spanish.
that's very important. That's right. Yeah.
So before we go into Rizal at iba pa, let's talk about the two other stages para makumpleto natin.
So
the third one is
finish
influence.
So influence, basically, parang foundation kasi yung identity, yung image. So after that, we have influence. So as after attaining all those two goals, gusto naming ma-influence yung ibang races. We want them to we also want the Filipinos to influence other races. Also in America, ang dami kasi natin dito sa sa America. I think there's about 4 million. And yung sabi nga ni Lynn about yung sa article, we're actually the invisible minority.
Right.
Right. So we want to change that. We want to make influences all over the country.
And how do we
world.
do that aside from inviting other races to eat adobo and
Right.
pancit? How do we do that?
Something simple. Start with something simple. Come into work on time. Excel in work.
Oh, okay.
So
I
start
see.
something very simple. It's not impossible. So once they see that you're excelling in work, that's gonna build up your influence on them.
And the last one would be inspiration.
Inspiration would be about the same thing. Inspire other races to do the same thing what we're doing. Raise up their own races, and eventually raise up the countries that they're in. So.
Anything you'd like to add, Lynn?
I guess you already said everything.
Okay, so pag-usapan natin yung Rizal. Jed, tell us about this production.
Well, Rizal at Atbp is actually a culmination of different types of arts. So there's acting, there's music, there's dances. So in this, what we want to do is to be able to portray that our culture is very rich and very diverse at the same time. So when the second generation or the Phil-Ams or Amphils would watch this, they would go home being a little bit more prouder of their own race, being proud to be a Filipino. And you never know, like maybe because of this, well, at least we're hoping that they really seek after what they really are, you know. I mean, even though that we're in the States or wherever we're placed in this world, we're still Filipino, no matter what, you know, no matter where we are.
And you're portraying Rizal, right?
Yes.
Why Rizal? Ano yung at iba pa? And tell us about Rizal. Sabi ni Lynn, you know a lot about Rizal.
Okay. Well, I guess the main reason why we chose Rizal is, besides him being our national hero, he really was the best example of what a Filipino should be. If you look at his life, he didn't just stick to one type of, let's say, arts. You know, he was a sculptor, he was a painter, he was a poet. You know, he was a writer, he did martial arts, you know, so he did all these things. So if you look at his life, we can somewhat find ourselves in him, you know, like, let's say, for example, I'm an actor, and I can find myself in Rizal because he did arts as well. Or if somebody's a martial artist, then they can find, oh, Rizal did this as well. So it's no excuse that we have to settle for anything less because somebody already paved the way for us to follow. So I think Rizal would be the prime choice for this project.
So how did you get the role? Did you have to audition? And the other actors, paano na put together yung cast?
I guess, I did have to audition for it. We actually have another Rizal, but due to his busy schedule, I ended up being the replacement for him. So for the other cast, audition-wise, I think it's really more, it's because you can see how passionate they are about doing, you know, it doesn't matter how big their performance or, you know, if they're acting, if they're dancing, if they're playing an instrument, you can just tell that they're passionate about it. And I think it's something that we all share, despite, you know, whatever department or whatever aspect of the play that we're in.
We have to pause for another break, but let's talk more about Rizal and Anglahi sa ating pagbabalik. Don't go away.